Okay, I'm back, guys. I'm not going to be here long. Um, my girlfriend and I are going to be watching Matrix Revolution here in a little bit, so when she's ready to go, I'm going to hop off. So until then, please enjoy. So, been having some issues trying to set up streaming here on X-Plane, but I think I finally got it figured out. Um, oh, by the way, these pink lines out there are flight paths. Um, when I come out of the aircraft here, you can see the flight path that I've taken. I'm flying around San Francisco. And currently, I've landed on Alcatraz Island. Whether or not this helipad is actually there in Alcatraz is up for debate, but it's neither here nor there. And actually, I'm gonna download a different, or not download, but bring up a different skin for this thing. Let's see what we got here. What seems San Francisco-y? I like that green and black. Light blue, black interior. That looks nice. Oh, we're going red. Oh, yeah. That's sweet. Okay, cool. So we got the big windows loaded here. Dreamfoil is so cool. The designer of this is Payware, by the way, guys. For you who are joining me from Arma, Payware is, I mean, it's just how it sounds. This, I don't know if you guys are familiar with X-Plane or not, but anyway, this is an excellent model, and they just have some really neat features. Anywho, so this is Bell 407. I'll come back inside here. And I'm loving these doors. You can change everything by clicking on that little point on the panel here, and you can go to customize different things. So I can pop the Garmin 430 on or off. I can do the helicopter autopilot. I hardly ever use it. It's actually really useful. I've used it for practicing instrument flight. So rotor shadows, not so much. Yaw string, I usually keep that. You can see the yaw string right there. Enhancements, so this drops down another menu. Effective translational lift, yes. Transverse flow effect, landing gear friction, hot start, so failures, hot start, transmission over. Oh, excuse me. Oh, over torque. I don't have to talk about that. Okay. So y'all who have followed me on Arma or have seen my tutorials know I've talked about effective translational lift. I never really talked to you guys about transverse flow effect, although I hit on some of the stuff surrounding it. Most notably is the feeling of blowback. Although that's caused by retreating, and it's caused by symmetry of lift. Actually, blowback is, but transverse flow effect has the it basically rolls the helicopter left or right as you are getting air through the rotor disc. So I'll pop back outside here. Okay. Let's see if I can go up here. If I can remember how to do it. Oh God. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. There we go. So you can see the rotor disc there is kind of tilted forward. If I pull back on the cyclic, you can see it rotates. Not rotates, but pitches forward and aft. You can see the guy pulling back on it in the helicopter. That's cool. So anyway, transverse flow effect is when, as you're in forward flight, the air, as you follow my mouse, hopefully you guys can see it, it comes through and it gets ingested by the front half of the rotor blade and flows down and past the rest of the airframe. Well, the air that goes through the back of the rotor disc is it has a more vertical component to it, and that causes a difference in lift between the forward and aft halves of the rotor disc. Because the greater the induced flow, and basically induced flow is directly proportional to its vertical. It's vertical travel through the rotor disc. Errors, vertical travel through the rotor disc is what creates induced flow. Um, so the higher that is, the lower the angle of attack. So the more induced flow you have, um, the less lift you have, essentially, if that makes any sense. I can't really explain it without drawing it out on a diagram, but you'll just have to take my word for it. Anyway, so the back half of the rotor disc has less lift, and the front half has more lift, and so most people's first thought would be that that would create lift in the front, and basically for the nose to tilt up, right? Well, in fact, because of gyroscopic precession, the force of that is felt 90 degrees in the direction of rotation. So the lift that you're feeling is actually taking place on the left side of the aircraft, and the loss of lift you're feeling from the aft portion of the disc is felt on the right side. So you get this rolling motion that has to be counteracted with left or right cyclic, depending on whether or not you're depending on which way the rotor is turning. So you actually counteract transverse flow effect with lateral cyclic. And dissymmetry of lift is what causes blowback. So that's when, if we come up to the top of the aircraft here, there we go. So if we're looking down at this thing, all right, we got the rotor disc here. So half of this disc is retreating, and I believe in this helicopter, I want to say that the disc rotates counterclockwise, if I remember correctly. And so I need left pedal when I take off, which means that nose wants to rotate right, and the blades are rotating right. Okay, never mind, it rotates clockwise. Anyway, so when you're in forward flight, one of these blades is moving faster through the air than the other, because as it's sweeping forward in its arc of travel, it's hitting more air molecules on the advancing side, and then as you are flying forward, the retreating blade is striking less air molecules per second in the same amount of time on the retreating side. So anyway, what happens is you get a phenomena called dissymmetry of lift, and one half of the rotor disc is creating more lift than the other half, and so because of gyroscopic precession, let's say the right half is creating more lift, that force that is created is felt 90 degrees in the direction of travel. So you actually feel that in front of the helicopter, and so you feel those forces forward and aft in your cyclic. So it's what it also causes the blowback to occur. So anyway, a little aerodynamic lesson there. You guys probably just want to watch some flying. So I'll take it up for a pattern here. I'm going to reset my my flight path with Control P, and we'll bring it up because I think it's almost movie time. All right, so got my my stuff here. I know I said I would explain force trim. So force trim is this cool feature with the Dreamfoil 407, where if you map it to your joystick, you can press and hold that. So as you're flying along and you feel yourself having to constantly hold forward pressure on the cyclic or on your joystick on your desk, you can click and hold the, so okay, yeah, you see how I'm pushing forward on the cyclic here? Right? Pushing it forward. I'm pushing forward on my joystick on the desk. So if I click and hold the force trim button, which I'm doing right now, so I'm pressing and I'm holding, and while I'm holding it, I recenter my joystick on my desk, and then I let go of the force trim button, like I just did. Now the new center for the cyclic in the game is where you left it. So now your joystick from its centered position physically in front of you, can control the aircraft in the this new trimmed position, this force trimmed position. And then of course I got my hat switch just like the helicopter here. I got my hat switch set up for beep trim. So if I press up on the hat switch, if you watch the cyclic ever so closely, you're not going to see the button move. But if I press left on my hat switch, it goes left. If I press it right, it goes right, back. And then, of course, I have force trim release, which I've set to my trigger, and it comes back. So, using those features, this joystick or this aircraft flies incredibly smoothly. So, anyway, gauges I watch the most are the airspeed indicator and the torque meter, which is just to the left of it, right there. I don't really look at my my vertical speed indicator. I do watch my altimeter for altitude though. So we'll call it there. One second, guys. Okay. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, so power's coming in. I'm going to use left cyclic to counteract the tendency of the tail rotor to blow me sideways. So, and I'm also pulling back because, as you saw before, the rotor disc is rigged, tilted forward. So I'm counteracting all these things. And of course, I got a little bit of left pedal in for torque effect. So coming up, you can see the windsock out there bouncing around. It's kind of a blustery day. I've matched real-world conditions. Okay, so I'm in a little hover here. Very, very low hover. I'm gonna look at my torque meter right now to look at my power. Power is about 67% when I'm facing into the wind. That's great. So I'll use about 77% for my takeoff. So power's coming in. Well, there's 80. I'll leave it there. Fly around these buildings. Right on the left side. Kind of crabbing into the wind right now. Alright. We'll climb out at, what is that, 55 knots. So I just let the nose come up basically. Keep that same power setting in. I'm about 80% torque. I'll just bring it in. There's a rooftop helipad over here. Nice, huge climb rate in right now. Lower the collective a little bit. Bring that down to about 500 feet per minute. Lost some airspeed when I was doing that. That's fine. Whatever. Okay, I'm all over the place here. Whatever. We'll just cruise on out. All right, guys. After I do this landing, I gotta go. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do the force trim. I'm holding a little bit forward pressure on my joystick here, so I'm clicking and holding the button as I recenter, and now I've let go. And now my joystick is centered on my desk, but my cyclic in game is still tilted forward. So it makes it a little bit easier. And then of course I can use the beep trim for fine-tuning the flight profile here. Very nice, very nice. Of course, this is San Francisco. I'm sure many of you have already recognized it for what it is. Transamerica building. Wish they would have modeled the Coit Tower over there, but no luck. Oh well. Anyway, one of these roofs has a helipad. There's two of them. There's that one out there. You see it? So right now we're upwind. There's another one out there too. I don't know where. A little bit of a climb here. I don't know if this is a Dreamfoil feature or a X-plane feature, but anytime I roll, I look in the direction to roll automatically, separate from my track IR. So kind of a neat feature if you don't have track IR. Sometimes I find myself fighting it, so I get a little annoyed, but I think generally it's a great feature. So anyway, we're kind of on a weird. Oh, well, we're gonna turn down one here. Power's coming out. As power comes out, I nose up to maintain altitude. See, I'm a little bit out of trim here. That's fine. So I'll maintain 50 knots indicated, or try to anyway. There's 900 feet. We'll keep 900 feet. I got a crap joystick. I just force trimmed again. Okay, we're going to turn across one leg here. Popped up 100 feet. There it is. So crosswind, wind is blowing me away. Oh, I got my, there we go. Alright. Now, starting my descent and deceleration to the LZ. So basically, control airspeed with pitch, kind of like an airplane, and control your descent angle with collective. So I just like to put my LZ right against the panel right there, and just use collective to keep it right there. And of course, as I flare more and more to lose airspeed, I lose sight of it, which is fine as long as I maintain that descent angle. Everything works out. Again, the descent angle is maintained with collective. Makes you a little dizzy, doesn't it? Set it down a little long. That's alright though. Let's come out and see how I did. Oh, wasn't long. A little zigzaggy. That's alright. Kind of a blustery day anyway. You can see the windsock is blowing around. So, so another nice thing about flying an X-plane is you get, you can fly in real world weather, which is really cool. So, let me check with the girlfriend here. You got the laser pointer out? You ready? Okay. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you all have yourselves a good night and take care.